I thought I would do a short video on how to recover from an edge-to-edge design when you lose power in the middle or partially in the middle of that design, or for some reason you lose Bluetooth connection, which causes Qbot to stop. How do you pick up where you left off? Once you've lost connection to the Qbot head, you cannot come back and start where you left off. You have to basically start over again. So rather than having to pull everything out, here's a technique to pick up where you left off. Now, I have a spot here. I've picked a fairly simple design, and in a second here we'll show you what's going on and where it stopped, or where I stopped it in this case for this demonstration. You'll notice that after the 6th loop on the 7th one, it ended halfway through the loop and there's still more of it to go. So here's a video of what's on the quilt machine, and I'll be back in a second after this with how to recover from it. All right, as you saw in the short camera shot there, that last loop, it only got through half of it. It got to the bottom and it quit. This particular design goes up the loop, comes back down again, goes back up and does the smaller loop, comes back down, and then finishes off going from left to right, and then goes on to the next yellow ribbon. So how do you recover from it? The first and most important part of this entire thing is every time you set up a edge-to-edge design, save it. Even if you're going to use the same design row after row after row, once you bring it up, if you make any changes whatsoever to either the x-axis or the y-axis, save it before you start stitching it. I saved mine. I just used the name current, and every time I save it, it says current already exists. You want to overwrite it, just answer yes. It's important that you have a copy of the design that's exactly the same size as the one you were working on when the system failed. So what you would do is start up, reconnect Qbot, start up Pattern Quilting or Designer. Now you'll notice that I'm using Qbot V3 Pro. This is exactly the same on regular V3. So what we're going to do is we're going to have to remark our outer boundary. It does not have to be the same outer boundary you had originally. It should be kind of close-ish, but it doesn't really have to be exactly the same height, same width. You need to be able to have enough room for your design so you can see where it's going. So I'm going to pick an outer boundary here, all the way out to the end, cross down to the bottom, and up. Now, here's where it gets a little bit different, and that is I need to retrace a portion of my original design. I don't need to retrace the entire design, but I suggest doing the first one or two elements, and you don't have to retrace every piece of the element, but enough key spots on the element so that you'll be able to tell on the screen exactly where everything is. So I'm going to start here, and I'm going to get fairly close, but you don't have to get really crazy about making sure it's 100% perfect. And we'll go around here. I'll do 2 of them. It is kind of important that you do the first one and the one before, as everything failed, and the one that Qbot was stitching when it failed. And I'm going to skip all the ones in the middle. We'll do the last complete one. And again, get close, but it doesn't have to be exact. You do want a few reference points that are in fact exact, but the rest of it is just to give you an idea of where everything is. And on your last one, you want to make sure that you have enough reference points that are in fact exactly on the spot. So get back down here, and this one failed at the bottom of the first loop. That's where we lost connection or lost power. All right, now we'll make a mark on it so we can see where the actual quilt finished, and select done. Don't need an inner boundary on this one. So you can see this is what my current design looks like, except I skipped all the ones in the middle. And you'll notice these extra lines that are on there. Don't worry about them. Unless you're using trim, they won't hurt anything at all. So what we're going to do is going to go back to our saved pattern, and I'm going to pick up the one that I had saved, and I'm going to modify it, and I'm going to make absolutely sure that it's at 100%. Do not trust the little numbers that are on the X and Y yellow buttons if they say 100%, because it rounds it up, and it may be 100.7 or 99.3. You want it to be 100%, because you want it to exactly match your original design. So what we're going to do is I'm going to move this design over, and I'm going to overlay it right on top of my original design. Now the reason we want to have a beginning and an end is in case it happens to be a little bit off kilter like this, you can use it to make everything on the same level. So we'll move it around so that we get it. You'll notice that if I get the blue and the red right on top of each other, the red almost disappears. All right, there we've got it there. So now what I'm going to do is save or select done, and I'm going to raise my foot because I'm going to make a stitch, and I don't really want it to stitch. And if it does stitch, at least the stitch will be a loose stitch that I can pull out very, very easily. So I'm going to move to the start point. And here, if you need to make any fine adjustments, this would be the place to make the adjustment so that when the needle goes down, it goes down in exactly the same place as the original one did. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start, and I'm going to immediately stop or pause it and then do a % restart, because I don't want it to overstitch my original good design. So I select go, select pause right away, select % restart. Yes, I do want to do a restart. And I'm going to move my head. If it made a stitch, I can just pull that thread right out from the top. And I'm going to go down to where everything quit. Now, this particular one quit at the bottom of this stitch. So I can either line it up here, or if I know where it is, I can move it out of the way. And I'm going to move it forward to that exact spot. So we're going to go follow this thing across. Now this makes 2 loops, so I want to make sure that when I stop it, I'm stopping it at the end of the first loop, not at the end of the second loop. So let's bring it back here. There we go. So we go forward, and there's my spot where it actually stopped originally. So what I would do then is move to start. If the needle is not going down exactly where it stopped, you can make your fine adjustments here to make it right on that stop where it stopped. And press go. And it will start stitching and complete the original edge-to-edge design. So we'll give it a second here, and it should go all the way through this. And if you match these things up right, You'll never be able to tell where it stopped, except that you may have that initial double stitch if you have it doing a double stitch before you get going. It'll take a second here, or a few seconds anyway. And again, it doesn't matter how complex the design is, and it's not necessary to trace every piece of the design. You have to have enough of it so that you know where the reference points are and where exactly did it end it. Because when you do the restart, you want to start at that exact spot. We go through it. And we have now completed the edge-to-edge design as if it had never failed in the first place. I hope this video was helpful. If you have any comments, please let me know. And happy quilting, folks.